Hi, I'm Micheal Hyatt. Welcome to this month's Masterclass. We're going to be talking with my good friend Dave Ramsey about how he's used his books to build a platform and to expand his platform, take it to new levels. I've known Dave for about 20 years. When I first met him, he was being broadcast on one radio station in Nashville, Tennessee. And I went up and listened to him and his partner at the time do a radio show. My wife asked me afterwards, she said, "Well, what do you think?" And I thought, I don't know if this guy's going to ever go anywhere or not, because he's talking about doing away with debt, which at the time didn't really compute. I mean, you know, if you're going to succeed, you got to have some debt, right? I thought. I've since been converted to Dave Ramsey's philosophy, but at the time I thought that was a little strange. And I also thought he had such a southern accent that I didn't know if it would play beyond this region. Well, it played in spades. He was unbelievably successful. He self-published a book that went on to sell 140,000 copies. Then he got a New York publisher interested in it and was very successful with that. It ended up on the New York Times list.
Well, certainly the New York publishing deal was a big deal because that took us places we didn't know how to get to. I mean, we debuted the book tour on the Today Show. I'd never done anything like that. We got People Magazine and CBN with Pat Robertson. This was a long time ago.
Yeah.
I mean, these were big clears, and we did a 21-city book tour and a bunch of stuff, put it on the New York Times as a result of that marketing plan that I didn't have the sophistication to put together at the time.
So if you fast forward about 3 years from then, I'm trying to think now as a publisher at Thomas Nelson, how I can sign this guy that I wouldn't have signed previously, but now all of a sudden is a New York Times best-selling author. I want him at my publishing house, and I'm thinking I got to come up with some kind of great idea for him. So I literally thought about it for weeks. Then one morning, as I was driving to work on my commute, the idea came out of seemingly nowhere, and I thought the Total Money Makeover. That's the perfect idea for Dave. And this was during the makeover craze. There were all kinds of makeover shows that were being on television and on the radio. And so I came into my office, very energized by this idea, thinking this might be the right idea. Dave and I had known each other for a while. At that point, I knew his assistant, Lisa. I called her up and I said, "Does Dave have a photo shoot that's digital that you can email me or let me download from a server?" And she said, "Yeah, he does." So then my team took those digital photographs, a picture of Dave, we put it on the cover of the book, designed a cover. I hired a writer to flesh out this idea of the Total Money Makeover and create an outline for it. And then we put together a beautiful 4-color, probably about a 32-page proposal with everything from the product plan to the ancillary products to the marketing plan. I sat down with Dave. I made him sign a non-disclosure agreement on it so that he wouldn't use the idea unless he did it with us. And Dave was blown away, honestly. I mean, he loved the idea, thought that was perfect. He was concerned that he didn't want to just be duplicating content that he'd published previously, so he came up with a unique angle on it. And then he said, "Well, I want to come back with my team to your team and give you what I think could be the promotional plan for this." So he came up to our boardroom at Thomas Nelson with his entire team. They produced this unbelievable video, really trying to envision what this project could be with their involvement. And then they totally wowed us. We went, "Oh my gosh, this is going to be incredible."
And it was your title. You came up with the title. And then we sat down and started going, okay, it's a great title. It's a great time. I'm due to hit the market again with another book. I can't really say the same thing over again with a different jacket on it and have integrity. And so that became for me, my big problem was the integrity push on that. And so we talked it through and finally figured out financial piece was what to do. Total Money Makeover was a process book. It was how to do it.
Then I went into a private conference with Dave and my then boss, Sam Moore, who was the CEO of the company. And Dave said, "Here's what I want." And he named a number for a royalty advance that was the biggest advance that we had ever paid at that time. I mean, it took my breath away. Dave went, he left, and the CEO and I talked. Sam Moore said to me, he said, "Okay, Mike," and you have to understand Sam Moore is Lebanese, but he said, "Mike, if this was your grandmother's money," he said, "would you invest it in this project?" So I took a deep breath and I said, "Yeah, I would." And which was a little bit of a leap of faith, because who knows if it's going to work? You don't. The book came out, I think, in August or September. And then by December, I went to a Christmas party that Dave was hosting. And by that time, the book had not recouped its advance. So all this money that we had paid, the book had still not recouped. Dave came up to me and he was very sorry about that. He felt terrible. And he said, "I want you to tell Mr. Moore, the CEO, that I'm not done. This book's only begun, and I am absolutely committed to earning out this advance and making this a success for you guys, which I really appreciated. I'd never had an author do that who hadn't earned out his advance, and it really just even more endeared me to him. Well, that book has gone on to sell about 5 million copies. I mean, it earned back its advance many times over. Huge success, and even to this day, it's one of Thomas Nelson's top selling books month in and month out. I think it's been on the New York Times list like something like 200 weeks over the last 10 years. So really amazing.
When you do a book, it causes us to take all of our eggs and go, okay, we're putting them in one basket, we're going to load the gun, we're going to create critical mass and create a tipping point, and it gives us an excuse to go into the marketplace and push things around, where we generally just are a little bit more passive with the market. Just whatever happens, we're going to interact here or there, but this creates an excuse to bust into something.
But the thing I want you to watch for in this interview is how Dave has used books to launch his platform, take his platform to the next level, and expand it to completely different audiences that he wasn't reaching before. And I think there's a lesson in here for you about how to use books to write a book, share your expertise, and take your platform to the next level as well.